Hi everyone, this is Tammy with Christmas with the Cricut, and I am bringing you Crafty Gift Saturday. The crafty gift I'm bringing to you today is basically some personalized monogrammed stationery sets that I'm going to be using lyrical letters because I love the wonderful fonts that it offers, and I'm also going to be using the Cricut Cuttables Cuttlebug embossing folders that I get to make myself. And as you can see, when you buy one of these, it comes with a folder that is just basically empty. You can see right through it, see? It has a little Cricut bug head and a Probocraft emblem on the front so that you can tell which side is front and which side is not. It also comes with a piece of embossing material, but it is adhesive in the center with a paper piece on one side and a paper piece on the other. Now, according to the instructions, there's a side A and B, but they're not labeled, so you don't know which one is which. So I always recommend that you label them yourself. I purchased a box of envelopes from Walmart. There's a 50 count for, I think it was like $4.95, something like that. And they're the basic white invitation envelopes. So this is what they look like. And where I want my monogram to go is right here on the flap. Alright, so in order to do that, I'm going to have to place my letter down at the bottom of my embossing folder, and this is very important, it's going to have to be placed upside down, because in order to emboss this, I have to basically sandwich the flap in the folder, and this is the top of the folder, and this is the bottom, so my letter is going to have to be upside down in order to get my monograms upside right on the envelope. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure roughly on my mat and just basically place my envelope in the center between the lines. I'm going to take my material, my embossing material, and I'm going to place it in the center of those two lines to roughly get my center point on the envelope. I'm then going to draw now, because remember this is just paper side. I'm going to draw with a permanent marker because I want actually this line to last, so don't use a pencil, and I'm going to draw those lines. Alright, I'm not going to do it on just one side, I'm actually going to do it on both. So you're going to line it up again, close the flap, and you're going to do it on both sides, and you'll see later why you're doing it on both. Okay, so there you go. I'm done with my envelope for now, and here's my embossing material with the envelope flap actually drawn on both sides. Now this is where I'm going to label one side A, okay, and the other side B, and I'm going to load A side up on my mat in the top right corner. Okay, facing the side. So if this is the top of my mat, I want my A to basically be sideways, and I'm going to make sure that that goes down really good with my brayer. I want it to stick and not move around. Now let's go to the Cricut and cut it out, shall we? Alright, I've loaded my mat into my Cricut, and I'm going to take my blade housing, and using the grid on my blade or on my mat, I want to move my blade housing to what is roughly the center point of the flap only. So if my material is 4 1/4 inches long, I'm going to move it just between that 2 and 2 1/4 inch mark so that the center part of my blade housing is on that. Then I can use these grid lines here to see that the tip of my flap is a little more than 2 inches, so I'm going to kind of just go to the 1 inch. I think that's a good center point for my flap. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to center the image. I'm using the connected uppercase letter S and make it size 1.5. My settings need to be blade housing at 6, and remember this is the recommended settings for cutting the embossing material for your Cuttlebug. So blade housing is set at 6, my pressure is maximum at 5, my speed is 3, and I'm also going to be using multi-cut. So I'm turning my multi-cut because it has to cut it 2 times. So multi-cut is on. Make sure my settings for the multi-cut is at 2, and it is. Remember, those of you who aren't used to using multi-cut, you just hit settings and then scan through with the OK button until you find it, and then you hit settings again and it will set it. Alright? But I'm also going to be using the center point. So we've got two creative features going on here, the multi-cut and the center point. I've chosen my letter S, it shows it there, and I've got my blade housing in the center. I'm now just going to simply hit cut. Alright, there's our image. Let's take it over and let's mount it in our folder. You'll see that I have side A, which is the proper side for the S, and side B. I'm going to go ahead and punch out my S. It's very easy to come out since it's cut twice. And you'll see that it's there. And there's my S. Now I'm going to have my folder. Now here's the important part. In order for your embossing to come out right and for it to be correct, because remember you've got a letter, so you can't just simply turn the folder over. You're going to want your side A to be on the front side. Okay, this is the top, this is the bottom. So your side A is going to be upside down on the front part of your folder, and the letter itself will be on the back side. So that means that we're going to be peeling the paper off of side A. Place it on the front side of the envelope. Remember, with the letter on the bottom upside down. And you just kind of slide it across because it's sticky, so you have to be careful. But you just want to basically make sure it's just lying in there. Make sure there's no little pieces in there also. Okay? Once you've done that, then you're going to close the folder and take your brayer and just run it back and forth real hard on where the letter is. Okay? Once you've done that, then you open it, and your letter S should be placed in the correct spot right there, so that when every time you close it, it fits perfectly in that spot. I hope you can see that on the video. And I want to emboss my letter on my envelope, so I'm going to open the flap. I'm going to place my envelope where I can see the B side and the inside of the envelope. And you see, remember I drew those lines on that side? Basically my flap just lines up in those two lines, which would also put it in the fold. Okay, but I lined it up in the line so that I know that my S will be centered on the flap. Okay, then I fold it, and the reason I'm going to fold my envelope back down is because if I leave it open, it will not fit through my Cuttlebug. I'm going to use my A plate and my C plate. Now when you make your own embossing folders, you cannot use the two B plates like you would normally do with a Cricut or Cuttlebug embossing folder. And the reason is because for some reason the homemade ones are a little bit thicker, and so that's too much thickness. You'll end up breaking a plate or something. So after trial and error and playing around with it, Joy and I have discovered that the C plate is best to use with it, but you want to use another piece of paper or something of a little bit of thickness as a shim, basically, and that gives you just the right thickness to make it a nice crisp image. So now that I've done that, I'm going to run through my Cuttlebug. There we go. I'm going to take it out. Take out my envelope, and you might be able to see, look at that, there's my S. Isn't that pretty? I love the size of it and how it's going to look on these envelopes when I get them all done.